Thank you all for being here. Thank you for our partners this year, MasterCard and Pinterest. We want to do this every year. We're also thinking about expanding into Europe, other locations across the globe. If that's of interest, talk to me. But right now, what we're going to get to, I'm going to get over to my presentation. We'll just slide it over here as I have the ability to say our starting question. And I realize, hey, there's 9 slides between you and Boca de Baca. And I know that's important, so I want to keep it brief, but I also want to keep it impactful. So where do we go from here? So much of what we try to do at All Tech is Human is we focus on gatherings. As I mentioned at the top, gathering people across from civil society, government, industry, and academia. If you talk to me over at Boca de Baca, Chelsea, right, just 3 streets away, and you say, well, that was a great event, I might just have a semantical correction for you. And it's nothing wrong. I just like to refer to them as a gathering as opposed to an event. You said, well, what's the difference? When I think about an event, I think about it as something that is a one-off, something that's entertaining, right? And I want you to be entertained, and the speakers were great today. But more importantly, when you think about a gathering is something that builds, right? It builds on what we did today, to work on what we can do together tomorrow. The point is not to say, that was a great talk. I learned a lot. Okay, that's great. But more importantly, how do you connect with that person on stage? How do you connect with the person to your left? How do you talk to somebody at Boca de Baca and say, we can work together? That's the important part. We're not doing this to entertain you. If I can tell you a dirty little secret, I don't actually even like planning events. They're incredibly stressful. Have you ever done an event like this? We've done dozens. I don't do it for my health. Actually, it's probably not even healthy. It's very stressful, like I said. Stress isn't good for you. But I do it, and the team does it. If you talk to Rebecca, if you talk to Shireen, if you talk to Sandra, and everybody who helped us out, such as Noreen and Alex and all of our volunteers, we do it for a reason. We do it because we need to come together, right? That's the important part. We're not doing this for entertainment value. We're doing it because products are not going to solve our problems. People are going to solve the issues that we have ahead. So when we look ahead, obviously AI companions, we had that discussion. That's a major part of what All Tech is Human is going to be doing. But I think the more important part is, how do we solve for a future we cannot predict? One thing that I've seen, a mistake, I would argue, that's made over and over by so many people who are creating new initiatives, right? I'll lay it down. Here's our difference. We are problem agnostic. We cannot predict the future. As Katie Knight said, this isn't techno-determinism. We have agency. And if you read our new Responsible Tech Guide, the subtitle is actually, our tech future doesn't happen to us. It happens by us. That means our future is not decided, but it's also something we cannot accurately predict. Hey, I bet you a few years ago, you went to a metaverse safety event. Whatever happened to the metaverse? We talked about how blockchain would solve poverty. That hasn't happened, probably won't. The point is, there's something in between hope and hype, right? There's in between hype and fear is pragmatism. And that's where All Tech is Human sits. Because we cannot solve a problem by trying to predict the future because we're already playing whack-a-mole. What we need to do is have a better approach, and that's what we're realizing. So when you're actually networking with people, I want you to think, how do we solve problems for a future we cannot predict? And I would argue, I'll give the spoiler alert, it's not about trying to be direct on a problem. That is a losing scenario. You're playing catch up, right? Instead, you need to create a hyper-connected community that can come together in an ad hoc fashion. That's the expert network. That is paired up with public understanding. We heard Dr. Allison Scott talk about we need Teachers, we need students, we need everybody involved. That's literally the point of our organization. We've interacted with tens of thousands of people across the globe. We have a new ATIH X program, as I mentioned, meeting up in Paris and Barcelona and Toronto and Philly. That can be 100x'd. That's something that you could have hundreds of thousands of people across the community understanding pain points. You can't solve a pain point if you're not surrounded by people's pain. You need to understand what the public feels about it, right? What usually doesn't happen, and I know this from experience in my own life and as president of All Tech Human, I kind of have this weird dichotomy, right? It's that I go from ballrooms to barrooms. It's that you go from coffee houses to penthouses. I can continue with these analogies. You can go from, a caviar bump to a fist bump. The point being is that those two worlds are different. One understands the pain, the other one has the power. What we need to do, and everything that All Tech Human has been trying to do since 2018, is connect those worlds. Those worlds do not see each other. They do not intermingle. They're literally on different levels if you're in Manhattan, right? They're on different levels of a building. That is really crucial. So this is what we're trying to realize. We started out as the bad news bears. We're starting to build up into a responsible tech juggernaut. We're recognizing that, with power comes responsibility. We have a responsibility to actually start leading and shifting the narrative. That's what we've done. As Tricia talked about, people didn't mention responsible tech 5 or 6 years ago. Well, that's because we intentionally planned Responsible Tech Mixers, Responsible Tech Summit. We have a Responsible Tech Guide, a Responsible Tech Job Board. The point is, you can create an ecosystem by creating a Big 10 strategy, giving people language, giving people inspiration, and giving them room for a conducive environment that can surface values, tensions, trade-offs, and best practices. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to shift. Don't focus on the problem, focus on people. People solve problems. If we're doing it differently, we're playing catch up. How do you become problem agnostic, right? That's what we're trying to do. I think in next year, we planned it out. We're trying to raise $5 million. We think we can really kind of go global with that. I thought, man, that's a lot of money. And then I was just listening to the last one, 500 million, realizing that's just 1%. So I think I need to be a little bit more ambitious in life. So if you have any ideas of how we can continue to grow, talk to me. Talk to our affiliates. Talk to everybody on the team. What we've always done, and what a lot of people comment to me about, is that the All Tech is Human vibe is subtly different. And I think what's different about it is we want all backgrounds, right? We want all perspectives. We recognize that one person is not going to solve a problem. We need to actually come together. We need to have healthy debate. We need to understand what are the best practices and how do you create an iterative process from there. Couple things, try to make it exciting before we head off to the networking event. What you're going to see, something we've been working on. I talked about the affiliate program. We had 42 affiliates recently. We're expanding that into a brain trust. Going to that point about leveraging public insight, expertise that can come together in ad hoc fashion at the speed of tech to tackle any problem because you cannot predict the future, and then distribute it across key levers of change and all stakeholder groups. We're also, and we like to talk to Steph from Plenary Co. So also in our shared document, we're going to be part of the Global Philanthropy Forum in March, happening in San Francisco. What we're trying to do is we're recognizing that it's people in this room that are making the change. Change doesn't happen up top. It oftentimes happens bottom up. You know who builds ecosystem? People who are in civil society, people who are working with other people to actually create that collaborative environment. That's what we're trying to do, pairing up with 8 other civic health leaders. More to come on that later. Talk to myself, talk to Steph, and talk to others we'll be announcing pretty soon. All right. Lastly, as we kind of near the end here, what we try to do at All Tech is Human, we want to be collaborative. We want to understand, as I mentioned before, pain points. So what is one change you want to see in the responsible tech movement? One of the things that we've recognized, and I think honestly a little bit of a misnomer about All Tech is Human, is viewing it as an enabler, viewing it as something that is holding space. And that's true. But I think the secret power of All Tech is Human, which frankly we don't wear on our sleeve, is that we can understand an ecosystem by interfacing with thousands of people, right? But at the same time, because you are hyper-connected to all these different stakeholder groups, those are levers of change. That's how a narrative changes. So we're trying to recognize the fact that All Tech is Human does have an important role to play in not only holding space like the summit, but also shifting the narrative and affecting future change. Lastly, again, a big thank you to all of you for being here, for sticking around for our Responsible Tech Summit. I know people traveled from afar to be here. Thank you again to MasterCard and Pinterest, also some of our philanthropic funders such as Siegel Family Endowment, the Patrick J. McGovern Foundation, and others. And if you want to be part of that growing list, hey, just talk to me, have a glass of wine, and we'll hatch up some ideas. That's literally how this happens. So much good has happened from the dozens of gatherings that we've brought together over the years. That's the part that I think gets lost. It's not an event, it's a gathering. When we come together, good things happen. Pretty simple. So without further ado, let's give a round of applause to all the volunteers, all the staff, sponsors, and now, as Michelle said on stage, we're going to Boca de Baca, Chelsea. That is from 7 to 9. It's on 20th Street and 9th Ave, just a short 4-minute walk, depending on how fast you walk. If you're a New Yorker, maybe 3 minutes. Grab some water, say hello to everybody, and I'll see you over there. Thank you.